Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and for those new people, welcome to the channel. Now, as you can see by the thumbnail, I was burnt alive, literally head to toe. A very long time ago now. I was 21 at the time, and I think it would be good to share it, to share the experience. Now, what I do want to do, and I will warn people, is I want to go into as much detail as I can, and it's going to be quite gory. There's going to be some upsetting things for, because of what's happened, and it's a situation that, I was in hospital for a little under 2 months, and everything that could go wrong went wrong. It was a horrendous time, but it was also the best thing that could ever happen to me. And I need to go into as that much detail and that much gory detail so you can understand why it is also the best thing that ever happened to me. So this is going to be a multiple videos. It's such a long story. I can't make it one long video because no one would ever watch it. So I'm going to try and keep them relatively sensibly long, so you get to be able to get into it and really sink yourself into the story, but not so long that I'll send you to sleep. So hopefully it's the length will be fine for you, and hopefully you really enjoy it, and it'll be nice for me to share it as well. So what we'll do, we'll get straight on with it. What I will do at the beginning of every video is I will warn people that there is graphic content. Now, it's not video content as in pictures or anything like that. I have got pictures of my injuries, but they're absolute rubbish. They're of an old camera done very long time ago. So the pictures are basically not worth seeing. Obviously, I've got all the scars, and later on I'll show you the scars that I've got from all the injuries I've had. But for now, it will just be me explaining in detail about them. So without further ado, let's just get into it, and let's start with how this journey started. So what happened, I was going to a local town with a couple of friends for a going away party. A good friend of ours was moving up country, and we wanted to go with them and say goodbye. And so I took a friend, his girlfriend, and a very good friend of mine. I drove over to this local town, and we all went out. Now, this is obviously back in the day when you could smoke in pubs and whatever else. Now, I've never been a smoker, never even tried it. And we'd been out for a couple of hours, and to be honest, I was just feeling really rough. It's not my thing, and I didn't feel great. So I said my goodbyes. We'd had a good evening. I said, I'm going to wander back to the flat and have a bit of a chill before I drive home. And a friend, his girlfriend, and my good friend said, we'll wander back with you, and that'll be that. So we all walked back to this flat, and we got there, and I just sat in the back garden. Now, in the back garden, he had like a large patio, because it was a downstairs flat, and just off the patio is a slight drop and grass. And it was a stunning evening, absolutely stunning, beautiful starry sky. And I just sat on the patio with my feet on the grass, and it was a bit wet, so what? And I was just loving the evening air, just sat there and really, really, really chilling. And anyway, this lad comes out, and he said, you're going to love this. This is amazing. I'm like, what's he talking about? And he had like an opaque, clear kind of gallon can in his hand, but no stickers, no markings, no nothing. He said, I found this in like the loft space he's got in this flat. I was like, okay. And he screws up a bit of A4 paper, which is, let's be honest, never a good sign, puts it in front of me, and he leans the can over and just puts a little drop of obviously lights a bit of paper, and puts a little drop of this stuff on this burning paper. And there was this just sudden kind of almost like a shot back. I was like, what the? And the heat was so intense. I was like, wow. So that's mad. And I looked down. Now, anyone that's burnt a bit of paper knows you burn a bit of paper, you have a tiny little orange flame, and then there's just a whole load of black ash, and there was nothing, absolutely nothing, all gone. Now, whether it got blasted away by the severity of the flame, you know, and it drifted off, I don't know, but there was nothing on the floor, a little scorch mark, nothing. I was like, that is seriously powerful, whatever that is. And like an idiot, he screws up some more paper, he puts it on the floor in front of me, lights it, and then gets the can and pours it on the paper. Now, obviously, he'd been drinking, so he wasn't thinking. I was completely sober. I'd only been drinking orange and lemonade because I had to drive home. And, yeah, the flame shot up where it was being poured, went into the can, and there's this almighty boof as the top of the can exploded out, and the whole gallon landed in my lap. And it was just, and flames everywhere. And he just run off, crying and screaming. And I stood up, and I'm just, flames are just pouring up my body. And so I just dive onto this grass, and I'm rolling around on this wet grass. I'm still burning. And my friend, my other good friend, runs out of the flat with a rug. So we wrap myself up in a rug, and I'm like back on the floor, rolling around on the floor in this rug. Take it off, flames are still pouring up me. So he goes running back inside the house, flat, fills the sink bowl full of water, comes out and just pours it straight down over the top of me. And I'm still burning. And he stands right in front of me, looking at my face. And he said, well, what can I do? What can I do? He's panicking. And to be fair, I am too. And I just took a big, deep breath. I looked him in the eyes and said, just let me burn. Go and phone the ambulance and let me burn. I can't, there's nothing I can do, you know. And it was literally that kind of, it's just, now don't get me wrong. I'm not, oh, I'm going to die. I wasn't thinking like that. I wasn't thinking, oh, this is the end. Nothing like that at all. But I'd resigned myself to the fact there is nothing I could do. We smothered it. We soaked it in water. We did everything you could do to stop these flames. And they were just still coming and coming and coming. And I was watching my hands, and there was skin dripping off my fingers or bubbling off. And yeah, it was awful, awful. And the pain and the heat, you just couldn't get away from it because it was coming up my body. So he ran inside. Obviously, he called the ambulance. And obviously, it felt like forever. Like when anyone's had any kind of injury, it's like time slows down. But at the end of the day, it was however long it was. But it went out eventually. And he come out, and he just stood in front of me. He said, what can I do? What can I do for you? I said, well, you know, let's just get up to the road, because we were like down the garden had a flight of stairs to the road. I said, well, let's just get up to the road and wait for the ambulance. You know, at least we're kind of doing something about getting, you know, helping myself. So, you know, we went up there and stood in the road. Now, what we later found out is my friend had phoned at about 10:10, the ambulance. And the ambulance station in the local town that we were in then shut at 10 o'clock. So they sent an ambulance from the next town over, which was 45 minutes away. So I was stood in the road with my friend for 45 minutes waiting for this ambulance. Now, it's not their fault. You know, it is what it is. I'm not knocking that at all. You know, it just happened to be that, but it was a while to wait. So anyway, my friend was just constantly asking her, what can I do? Is there anything I can do to help, you know? And I have no idea to this day why I asked and why I did what I did next, but it felt really good. And I said, can I just rest my face on your chest? Can I just push my face into your chest? And he said, of course you can, don't be stupid, you know. And so I put my hands on his arms and I just put my face into his chest. And just the pressure just relieved some of that pain. And it did feel good. I just like, oh, it's like taking some of the pressure of the pain. I don't know why, to be honest. I don't know why at all. But it did, and it did help. So there's me and him. The other two gone. I have no idea where they were. Stood at the side of the road waiting for an ambulance. So anyway, obviously we now know it was 45 minutes, but it didn't feel like that, to be honest. Time was almost irrelevant. And we heard the ambulance coming. So we're like, oh, finally. And they turned up and they were lovely. And, you know, obviously took me into the ambulance, and he, one of the paramedics sat me on the bed. And you remember that the funniest things, like my sister had bought me this lovely shirt that I wore to this, you know, going away party, and he cut it off because obviously he could see the state of my hands. So they cut my shirt off, and I was gutted, absolutely gutted. So anyway, you know, they cut that off, and I was gutted. And then he moves down to my trousers and starts pulling my trousers down. And what I will say now, before I carry on, is what I don't know, and maybe one of you can tell me, is even though this can of fluid, or this, you know, gallon of fluid, landed literally in my lap, there wasn't a scorch mark on it. Not a bit, not one jot of burn. Yeah, so there wasn't a single mark on my jeans from the flames, which, to be fair, doesn't make any sense. So if any of you know why that is, let us know in the comments, because I have no idea. But because there was no mark on my jeans, they pulled, well, I say they, the paramedic pulled it off, and he got to just above my knees and went, I am really, really sorry. I was like, well, what's that? What's wrong? And I looked down, and there it was taken a layer of skin off my legs as he was pulling them off. I was like, oh, right. And I said, to be honest, it doesn't hurt. You know, yes, it's taking skin off, but it doesn't look nice, but it doesn't hurt. And so he said, well, is it okay if I carry on? I said, yeah, just carry on, just get it over with, innit? So he took my jeans off and took a layer of skin off with it. And then he cut the top off a saline solution bag and poured it over my legs. And that was lovely. That was absolutely lovely. It was just so, it gave me so much relief, that lovely cold fluid. So that was a nice turn of events. And then he covered me over, and obviously he shut the doors, and away we went. And we headed over to the local hospital where they'd just come from. And the weird thing is rather than shouting and screaming and bawling and crying, I was laughing. I don't know why, but I just kept laughing and joking and thinking it's funny. And I don't know why I thought it was funny. I just did. It just, for some weird reason, I was laughing. So we had a chat and a laugh, and we got to the hospital, and then I was taken into a room there, and they just took one look at me and said, you know, this is way, way too bad for that particular hospital. So they wanted me to be taken straight off to the next one. So they put another set of drips in my other arm and sent me to a specialist burns unit, which was 75 miles away. And that's when things got even worse. So, you know, what we'll do for now is I'll leave it there, and we'll start the next one in the next video. So, you know, I hope you've enjoyed the content up to now, and put any questions you have in the comments, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.